Welcome to Ink and Flame. I'm your host, Tina Kutras, and today we're sitting down with AJ Braun to talk about her new book of Blood and Stone. Hi, AJ. How are you?
Hey, doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm doing great as well. We're enjoying some sun after a singular day of rain here in Nova Scotia. We were hoping for more, but we will get some, I'm sure.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, we just had some rain, I think, a couple of days ago, and now it's very hot.
Can't complain about heat in the summer. I like it because we'll be
Yeah,
complaining about the cold soon enough.
you're right. It's true.
Well, I guess unless you live in California, then maybe not, but oh well.
Right. No such thing.
So let's get right into it. We're going to talk about this wonderful book of yours. What was the release date on that?
January 9th, 2025, so this past winter.
Awesome. So you've got some people already diving into it. So let's hope we can get some more in there for you.
That'd be awesome. We love that.
So can you tell us a little bit about your journey of being a writer and what you drew your dark romantasy stuff from?
Totally. Yeah, my journey as a writer. So I originally started out more as just like a painter, but that was more like hobby thing, you know. And like my journey into writing, I think like almost every indie romantasy author, it like started with like reading ACOTAR. So I'm very much in that group of people where like got really into just like SJM stuff and I was like, this is so fun, like the romance and the fantasy. And then I was on Bookstagram a lot and saw a lot of people getting inspired to like write their own stories. I was like, oh, we can do that. That's pretty cool. So a lot of my journey involves just like I grew up in a pretty like high control religion. It was very just like it was like my life growing up. And then I left it, and there was just like a lot of to like process through that. So like I said, I was like a painter, so I had this like dream of like I think to process my emotions, I'm gonna make like this series of paintings about it. And I tried, and like nothing really was like really like speaking to me. And I was reading ACOTAR at the time, and I was like, what if I just tried writing a little like fantasy scene? That's fun. Like, so I did, and discovered Silzenia's character through that, and I was like, I'm just gonna kind of go balls to the wall and just like write a first draft because why not? With like no intention of doing anything with it. And then I finished it and I was like obsessed. And I feel like that's what authors talk about. It's like you get obsessed with stories. And I thought it would like I was like, it's kind of like okay, it's kind of good. Could I do something with this? So then I wrote second draft and I had like beta readers read it, which was more like friends and family. They're pretty honest with me, but they're like, you should just keep going and keep trying. So I did. And so that's kind of how I got started into like writing. And I've always enjoyed writing and journaling and like poetry and stuff.
Yeah.
I had never written a novel before though. So that was, yeah, such an adventure in its own right.
Yeah. So I love the way that the world has kind of turned on its head where once upon a time it was like a dream to become an author. And now you get to choose to become an author. It's the world has shifted to the indie world has made it so that, all you have to do, and I'm not minimizing it by any stretch,
Right.
but
Right.
you can choose to write. And I think that that's an incredible way to start, just to just choose to write. I think it's
Yeah.
wicked.
It's very accessible now in some ways.
Yeah. So for people that are listening, what genre do you fit of Blood and Stone into?
You know what? That's like the golden question. I have been saying like romantasy with it being like fantasy forward. And I would say it's fantasy with a romance subplot, but the romance is just very tied in to the main fantasy plot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had like some of my reviews are like, oh my gosh, this is like a perfect 50-50. What I've noticed though is that some readers, like if they're going in just for the romance, they're like fantasy, cool, but like I want romance, they're not as satisfied as those who are going in like I want fantasy, I want that, and the romance is cool and exciting.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So do you consider your book spicy or do you consider it to be somewhere in the middle?
Yeah, I would. It definitely has a spice level. There's two spicy scenes. One of the they're both explicit. One of them especially so. So I definitely it's spicy. That's part of my marketing for sure. Yeah.
So I think that's the kind of, especially where you said that you were influenced by Sarah J. Maas. I think that she definitely brought us all out of the woodwork where
Yeah.
There's so many memes right now. My favorite is when the guy's doing something with the car and then the audio switches from her headset to the car and he's like,
Yep.
so funny.
I've been got.
It's so funny.
It is so funny. Yeah, so does
So
Spicy.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you've created something truly unique with Blood and Stone. What sparked the initial idea for the story, if it's more detailed than just Sarah J. Maas's influence?
Yes, it is more detailed than that. I think what really sparked it was honestly like when in the United States when Roe v. Wade was overturned, which gave us like rights for like abortion, things like that. When it was overturned, that was exceptionally distressing, especially as I had just left this high control religion environment that also was saying like I wasn't in control of my body. To then have left it and then be told by the government, "Oh, guess what? You also still don't have that."
Yeah.
Very distressing. And so that inspired, like, one, the female main character and what she's trying to do, but two, the magic system. Because the magic system is essentially a commentary on like a woman's lack of bodily autonomy in a high control environment. And it's and it's very like gendered based, and I get like lots of questions about that. It's definitely like worse for the woman magic wise than for the men. So yeah, that's kind of like the unique spark of this book is like the magic system.
Very cool. That sounds incredible. Your book took 3 years to develop the lore alone. So what kept you motivated during the extensive world building and the magic creation?
Honestly, it just felt this like I feel like the story was just like in my bones and it had to get out. And it really just felt like this like obsession, compulsion almost of like I have to figure this out because if I don't, like it's just gonna stay in there. So there's like a lot of, and I, in general, I'm a pretty ambitious person. So when I have like a goal, like I'm going to do it for whatever reason. I think I get that characteristic from my dad. So yeah, and then I also joined this really awesome writers group called Bardsy, and so I have some really awesome critique partners, and my coach, who's just he's really incredible. Like creative genius, I might even say. Like he just wow. And so he definitely like had me motivated to just like try new things, just think outside the box, and also like if anything, my world, my lore was way too much. It was way too complicated, and the story was getting really fuzzy. And so he encouraged me like instead of having these like 14 salient things, like have three. One of them needs to be your magic system and then pick the other two. So that was like my challenge. And that was really helpful and keeps everything a lot more focused than my other drafts. So yeah,
Yeah,
a
that's
lot of
great
motivation.
advice.
Mm-hmm.
Wicked.
Yeah.
So that also says a lot to your character because you just said you're a very driven person, but you take advice very well, obviously.
I try to. I want it to be really good, and like it's not going to be me reading this, it's going to be other people. And so the problem is like it was just too confusing. It was confusing me. So it's like if it's going to confuse you, your readers aren't going to know what the hell is happening.
Yeah. Lately, because I'm writing as well, I'm trying very hard to when I listen to a book, or I listen often because let's face it, when you're writing, it's really hard to sit with a book in your hands because you want to be typing.
It is.
So
It is.
I listen when I'm driving or doing something, but I find that I'm breaking down the plot. When I get to the end of the book, I'm mentally breaking down the plot into like 5 touch points so that I can,
Mm-hmm.
kind of slice it up as big as chunks as I can get it, and then compare that type of process to my own so that there's this, kind of a way to knit things together so that it's not overly complicated. So I love that
Yeah.
advice. 3 salient things that you can share and focus on.
Yeah. Yeah, like finding like the rhythm of the story. Yeah, those touch points, I like that. And yeah, finding the 3 salient things. And it's like, because what I was doing was I was just like adding random shit. If I was like finding plot holes, I'd be like, oh, maybe I'll like add this or I'll add that. And then it was too convoluted. It's like, no, you have to find the answer within the 3 things you already have, which is
Yeah.
like way more creative problem solving. And it's so exasperating. But also when you find it, it's like, oh, that's really cool. That's exciting.
Wicked. Good advice. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So, were there any particular experiences or observations that inspired you to explore the themes of autonomy and sacrifice in your work? So, you've mentioned the case, the appealed court case. So, was that the primary and only focus, or were there others?
That was I think that definitely was like the catalyst. It was my inciting incident. But then I think just overall growing up in like a purity culture setting of constantly being told like how my body essentially is not my own, it's God's, it's like what I wear, that determines how people treat me and treat my body. It's not like, it's not like I'm my own. And so just like having that narrative constantly being told to me, I think inspired this like I want to share what's the concept? I'm trying to remember what the book is called. The things they carried. It's like this war veteran book, but the author has this amazing concept of like story truth versus real truth. And it's like at the end of the book, sorry, this is a spoiler. At the end of the book, he reveals to you all his stories are just super exaggerated. They may have not even happened, but he's trying to explain to you what it felt like to be in this war. And so I feel like that's what I was trying to do, especially with like, because I could have done like an autobiography. I could have like, but I wanted it to be like, I want people to read it and like feel what it felt like. It's very intense. It is very dark. It's not necessarily like, I wasn't having a cut sliced into my back every time I was giving support to someone, but like it would feel like that sometimes. Right. So I really wanted to create this sense of like you're reading it and you can really feel it. So I want women who have been through that, like can read it, can be like, oh my God, that's what it felt like. And maybe even have like men read it and be like, oh my God, that's what it feels like.
Wild. So it's a very visceral sort of view on things.
Yeah, the first chapter, like it opens up and she's basically creating like a crop and she is in excruciating pain because she also has a cut that's being like scarred into her back from her magic. But she like doesn't think it's bad. She's like, oh, I'm doing what I need to do. Like I love how my goddess's power feels even though it hurts. And that's what it felt like to be in this religion was like, I love to be here even though it's like actively hurting me. That means it's working and I'm doing the right thing.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. Okay. So that's a pretty heavy statement. So I'm like, how do you just pick up and ask the next question now?
Yeah, it's very dark. So if we need any moments to take a breath, yeah.
So let's dive into what you called the most exciting element, and that's the magic system, like you've been describing. Can you explain how it works and, why you've kind of already touched on why you decided to make it so visceral?
Yeah. Well, how it works. So a part of it is kind of a mystery in the plot. So I'm not going to explain all of it, but I'll explain like what you start to get to know like at the first bit of it. So essentially how it works, it's a gendered magic system. So how women experience it is different than how men experience it. So in this world, there's a famine that's happening and there's also like a sickness going on, but the famine's a really big deal. So in this kingdom called Estia, women have magic and so they can create crops with their magic. It does come at that cost of like a cut slice into their back, but they're able to provide food and sustenance to their people. So it's like really like glorified. It's really seen as like this amazing thing, obviously, because like they get to help sustain their people while everyone outside of the kingdom is like suffering. And the reason for that is Estia is actually surrounded by this forest that's infested with monsters. And the only people that can get in and out of it are these men who have been trained in magic who are able to kill these monsters. And so how their magic works, okay, I have a whole physics map of it, so stay with me. So there's a stone called orodite. So the woman put the stone in the soil and they use their magic and all the what's the word for it? All the issues in the soil gets absorbed into this stone and it's like power. Okay. So it gets absorbed in the stone so then they can create like vegetation that's not going to be like dead or killed or whatever. And so the stone, they like take it out, it's like glowing pretty yellow whatever. And that actually the men are able to utilize that, the power that was stored in that, and they can access it. So they like put on this chest plate on their armor and they can access it. So then they kind of have their physical abilities heightened, kind of like Geralt in The Witcher. Basically can like super speed, super strength. Again, it's very gendered. So like they get like really physically strong. So then they utilize that until it's out to like defeat the monsters so they can like bring some trading, like some trade routes and stuff in and out of their kingdom. So first few chapters, that's what you learn is like how systematically it works. So it's a hard magic system, but there's lots of questions behind it too.
Yeah, so I feel like that they're very symbiotic. The men and the women
Yes.
have to work sort of together to do these things. That's wicked.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
the
it
woman,
affects them
they're
differently.
able.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So the men don't have a physical consequence, but I'm actually writing a prequel, right? Exactly. And it's like, why? But I'm actually writing a prequel right now, and it's one of the side characters from A Blood and Stone, who is really beloved by readers. And we're getting his POV experiencing the magic system, and there are some consequences. They're not physical, but they're a little bit different.
Oh,
So that's really fascinating to work through. So I'm focusing more on just the problems with toxic masculinity in that story.
okay. So, and you said that that's a sequel, or is it? Did you
It's a
say a prequel?
prequel.
Okay.
So it's a standalone. You don't have to read A Blood and Stone to read it either. But if you do, you'll see so many Easter eggs.
And is Of Blood and Stone also a standalone?
Yes,
Or is
it
it
is
a
also
series?
standalone.
Okay, cool.
Standalone. Yep. One and
Awesome.
done.
My sister would love that.
Yeah.
So the concept of women creating life through magic but paying for it with the cuts on their back is deeply symbolic.
Mm-hmm.
How did you approach writing something so deliberately disturbing?
Yeah. I at first was being too careful and it wasn't really hitting with like my critique partners and stuff. And they had to encourage me, like, if you're going to do this, you just kind of got to go hard with it. Like, don't try to like sit back with it. So I do have like a content warning list in the beginning of my book because it is disturbing. It's essentially like self-mutilation, like glorifying it. So, I am, my day job is I'm actually a therapist. And so, I feel like I'm kind of equipped with the ability and just like knowledge to be able to kind of work through these things in a way that's like more trauma informed. At least I hope so. So I was utilizing just like some of that like knowledge that I have to try and make sure when I wrote it, it was like manageable, but not like weakening what was the issues that were at hand. That makes
So how do your characters, particularly Selzenya, react when they start uncovering the truth about why their system exists?
That's a fantastic question. So I haven't talked about this yet, but there's a main villain, an antagonist, and she is very close with them. It's the main kingdom leader. He goes by the High One, and some people are like, "That's such a weird, silly name." I'm like, "Yeah, he like thinks he's all that, the High One." And so that's like her like relationship with him. She is the most powerful mage priestess in Estia. He knows that, and he like is very close with her. So the first chapter is her like debut of her like power to the kingdom, and so he wants to set it up so it's like everyone knows he's taking care of them because he's got like this woman who's going to be able to sustain them and stuff. And so that's kind of like her relationship with just the system. It's like him. That's how we kind of see it. So he's very manipulative, but in a very like he was designed after just like mega church pastor. So very charismatic. It's a lot, but so in the first chapter she loses her power. As she's going to debut, she loses it. And so that's the problem. And he doesn't know what happened. Well, they find out actually her father like poisoned her. So then she doesn't have her powers anymore. So it's a question of like what in the hell is happening? And so the High One's upset, but he's trying to keep a cool head. There's so much mystery, so I can't explain too much of what's happening.
Yeah, for sure. We don't want to spoil it.
For sure. And so she's trying to figure out, how do I get my power back? Like I'm like this person that's supposed to take care of everyone. But he just starts the way he starts talking to her, he's so stressed out that he's starting to kind of reveal his hand a little bit. And she's starting to question, like, what has this relationship with him actually been for like her whole life? So that's kind of when she starts questioning this system. And then we have our male main character, Elnok, come in. And he's the one who really starts to push her and be like, this is kind of insane. Everything y'all are doing, because he's not from Estia. So she's already questioning because the High One's acting weird, but then Elnok is like, what are you doing? This magic is awful. This like leader guy's awful. You guys are all insane. And so he's a fun comedic relief, breath of fresh air. The readers really attached to him because they're like, thank you, someone said it, because this place is nuts. And we finally have someone who can like speak to that.
And we're all just following along blindly, watching it happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Hmm.
So you mentioned the Kat and Patrick coded from
Yes.
10 Things I Hate About You. What makes their
Yes.
banter so compelling?
Yes. Well, she is just this uptight mage priestess. She's like got a stick up her ass, and he is just like this snarky, sassy thief. Like they're both so competent, which is really fun. So that means like their banter is like pretty like I don't know, intellectual. Like they're very good at jabbing each other and like having really good like remarks back. But it's very much that like because they're so competent and because they both like are really like driven in their goals, their banter is just kind of like it's the sassy rugged guy versus the uptight mage priestess who's like we have to follow the rules and he's like we need to break all of them. What are you talking about? So it's really fun like the back and forth that they get to have together.
Very cool. So are they close friends or
They start out
that?
as they start out as complete strangers.
Okay.
Still, Xenia's never been out of Estia in her life. Again, very high control. No one leaves unless you're one of those like magical warrior people.
Right.
And typically, no one goes in unless you're a royal by blood from an outside kingdom. That's part
Okay.
of that's a bit of a spoiler. Elnok's got a hidden identity and he is like a runaway prince. So that's why he gets access to go to Estia. He's trying to find this like mythical healing willow that Silzenia is also trying to find because his friend is sick because of the plague that's infecting the land. He wants to heal him, and Silzenia's trying to get her power back. I kind of lost what was the question again?
No, we were talking about the banter and stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, they don't start out as friends. They are total strangers, but because Elnok came in place of his older brother, and the High One was not expecting that. So he decides Silzenia, who like he's kind of got her in this manipulative exchange of like you need to prove yourself because right now you're not. So he like assigns her to look after him, and she's basically just like she's trying to gather information from him. And so there's their forced proximity. They do not like each other. She's trying to make it work. He is not, especially. But then they start to discover they're both trying to find the same thing. So Elnok's trying to convince her, like, let's do this. And she's like, I can't go against my leader. You're kind of crazy. So that's like kind of where they start. They're reluctant allies to lovers because the High One does something. And then she decides, okay,
Yeah.
I'll work with you if I have
Okay.
to.
So their
Perfect.
relationship isn't really slow burn, like you said, but it isn't insta love. How did you find the right pacing for their romance amid all of the external conflicts around them?
It's actually a really good question because I did have to decide if it was going to be slow burn or not. I made the executive decision as author to not make it slow burn just because I love spice. And I was like, I don't want just like one spicy scene at the very end. I want a couple. But I didn't want it to be insta love, insta lust either because I think it's more fun to have like the tension and like them butting heads. And it is a standalone, everything happens in like 5 days. So I kind of was just like, I'm going to just kind of Disneyfy this, and hopefully people are cool with that. They might not be. So it is a bit Disneyfied in how fast everything happens, but they have a lot of trauma that bonds them. And part of me is like, you know what? What bonds people quicker when it comes to love? Trauma together. So that was definitely something I had a lot of my critique partners help me out with was like this push pull between them because they do have push pull even though halfway point is kind of like they realize physically they have something together after like there is a type of like betrayal thing that happens, so they have to go back to the push pull until they discover that they like love each other. So that was kind of like it's like they physically get close and then by the end they're emotionally close was kind of how I
Right.
paced it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I personally love it when I don't mind the insta love concept.
Yeah.
It's not going to be I'll do anything to the ends of time for you, but one night stands exist for a reason.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
Who cares?
Totally.
So Elnok's friend needs a life-saving cure, which drives part of the plot. How does this personal stake affect his relationship with her?
How does Elnox like his desire to like help his friend? Yeah, it's a big part of like them working together, Elnok and Silzenian working together, getting closer, but always knowing that like Elnok has to leave And as like the stakes get higher and higher, there's more of a realization of like, oh, I don't think we're ever going to be able to be together because I have to save my friend and you have to stay here and do redacted, which I can't share.
Yeah.
Spoils everything. So that's what I really like about them as characters is that they have like very legitimate responsibilities. And so they have to really take those in consideration. And that's why I think makes this book like pretty adult in that is that they have to make very adult like choices. But yeah, Elnock, you get some more backstory as to why this friend is so important to him. Actually, on my Patreon, I'm doing this fun little thing right now where I'm doing diary entries so that you get the adventures him and his best friend had growing up together as like these like thiefy guys just like getting in trouble trying to like survive. So that's pretty fun.
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I like the diary entry idea. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I just Googled, like, what do I do for Patreon? It's like diary entries of your character. And I was like, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I got that.
Try that.
Yeah. Very cool. What's your favorite scene to write between these two characters? What was your favorite scene?
Whoa, that's a fun question. I don't know if I've actually had that question asked before. I'm such a sucker for like those scenes where it's like the desperate scenes where like one of them needs help, one of them saving the other. Those are my favorite. I think of like from Hercules, the movie, like Hercules and Meg, where he's like gotta go save her. I really just love like those because that's like all the emotional payoff is like you're working towards like those scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The banter is really fun. I think people really, really like the banter in the story. And it's very fun for me, but I just love like the emotional depth of like those like intense conversations.
Very cool. So let's talk a little bit more about your world building because you spent quite a bit of time on it.
Yes.
The homebrewed mythology centers around the goddess of life and her brother, the god of chaos, who went to war. Can you tell us a little bit more about the divine conflict?
Yes, I can. My spouse had to witness me just crash out so many times trying to figure out this lore and how it can connect with the magic system, how it can connect with the characters. Oh my god, it was a lot. But yeah, I was actually inspired. I almost, wait, no, I didn't almost, I did. I minored in religious studies. I did receive that. And so got some really cool, actually like graduate level courses at my undergrad for just like religious study. And it was like very broad. And so lots of like creation mythos and things like that. Those always just like really, really intrigue me. We have like so many of them at home. And so I was actually kind of combined a number of different like creation stories, which are all pretty similar and similar in different ways. But I was really inspired, especially by this one story in Guam where it's a brother and sister who create like the earth and the sky and everything, and then kind of like doing that with like Gilgamesh and things, which is like a whole mix of things. So basically, this brother and sister, god and goddess, like they were it's just funny. It's very like poetic and very creation mythos. But it's like they were a star and they split in two. Or they both made the earth. Strathris made like the creatures to populate it, and then Areta bled on the earth to create like rivers and like the land formation. Strathris and Areta were living together on this earth. It's just the both of them. There's no humans yet until Areta decides like I would like to make humans. So she does. Strathris makes his own creation, which are monsters. But then one of her humans and then one of his monsters end up killing each other. So they blame each other for that. Distrathor says, like, your humans have free will, my monsters don't, so your human killed my monster. And Areta says, like, they would never do that. They're not, they don't like killing, like, so they wouldn't do that. So they got into a war, essentially. And then how the war goes, according to their scriptures, is that Areta destroys Distrathris, is able to secure the remainder of his monsters in the forest that's surrounding Estia, but she can only save Estia's land. The rest of the land got poisoned by him. So Estia's land is the only one that can be fertile with the magic that her humans, whom she gave power to, can create. So that's the lore.
That sounds like it's right out of mythology of, the Greek mythology and like the way that it is tangled like that. It's really cool. I love it. Yeah, you could definitely see that you studied it a bit, maybe lived it a little.
Yeah.
So the magic healing willow is rumored to be a legend. What role does this quest element play in bringing your characters together?
It is the thing that brings them together. It's very much a quest story. I love a good quest story. I play D&D, and a lot of people play D&D. Yeah, people who play D&D, like, they read this and they're like, "Oh, this is like a D&D campaign." I'm like, "Totally. Yeah. That's kind of just what I know."
That's what I was going for.
Yeah, yeah, and it's super fun. It's like nice to just have a really easy plot line of like they're on a quest to find a tree, and then everything else can be really cool and complex. So it was nice to have that. But yeah, so this tree is essentially, it's the last thing Areta left of herself, is this tree that has the capacity, according to legend, to like heal. It's very broad term, so no one quite knows exactly what it can heal, but it can do something. The tree supposedly exists somewhere in the forest that's surrounding Estia.
The deadly forest.
Yes, the deadly, of course, because it can't be easy. Absolutely not. So Elnok learns from one of those magical warriors who actually is in alliance with his oldest brother. Learns from him, like, this tree exists. Let's try and find it, because there's a whole other thing there. But anyways, so he's going to find it to help heal his friend. Then Solzhennia gets a vision from her goddess that she needs to find the tree. In order to find the tree, of course, they need to find this like compass that has a piece of the bark in it, because the tree is just constantly moving. So that's the problem. It's always moving in the forest. So like the bark points to wherever it is. They need to find the compass first. No one knows where it is. So they come together and they're trying to first figure out, where's this compass if we're going to find this tree.
Very cool.
Yep. Yeah.
And it does sound like a very cool campaign. It sounds fun.
Yes.
So yeah, we played. That's how my husband and I met. We started playing D&D. That's fun.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. Yeah, my spouse, he's DM'd a number of times. He's going to start a podcast actually for a campaign. Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So 3 years of lore development is quite the feat. What was the most challenging aspect, do you figure, in creating the mythology and the magic?
Oh, I think the hardest part was kind of like that first bit I was talking about, where I was using so many things. I was like convoluting this mythology. I didn't have a good grasp on the magic system. So I had too much going on, and that's why I was crashing out all the time. Was like, I can't connect these two. Let's add this thing. I can't connect that now, so let's add this thing. And then it was just like, I would just like go back to drawing board, continue to do that. So that was like the most aggravating piece of it. And yeah, just trying to figure out. So I feel like when I came to my 5th draft, I really just scrapped a lot of things. And I did what my writing coach said, of just like, you just have these 3 things. That's how you're going to find all this out and figure it out. So I kind of that made it a lot more streamlined. Yeah. And I did buy some more mythology books. I was reading through, like, what do these sound like? How can I connect? It was a lot. I feel like I could talk for hours about that process, and I will not do that to anyone.
If it took you 3 years, I imagine there's quite the amount of experience behind it all. I imagine it took a bit.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
The book explores how women sacrifice themselves to provide for their people. What do you hope readers will take away from that sort of theme?
I hope what readers take away from this theme, and I've seen some reviews that have, which is really like so gratifying, is that by the end, there's essentially presented a different option of how life can be lived, like how women can like have like this power and have it be theirs, not just do it for others, but like they themselves, and just having people essentially respect each other. And but also like, yeah, right. I think the biggest theme though that comes from this, even though it's like I'm very specific with like the autonomy and stuff, I think the actual theme that the story presents is that like life is painful, and despite that, it's worth it. And that's something both Solzhennia and Elnok are discovering in their individual arcs in different ways. And so by the end, they kind of both get to this point. Actually, my first sentence for the story is that, hold on, let me read it so I don't get it wrong. But the first sentence is, the price for life would always be pain. And then it ends, the very last sentence is, the price for life would always be pain, and by the gods, was it worth it? So that's kind of like the story arc in general. Is getting to that point.
Yeah. So how do you balance addressing serious social issues with creating an entertaining fantasy adventure?
That's an awesome question. I think, I mean, if you want to get a point across, then it needs to be interesting to people, and things that interest people are entertaining. And I think there's a lot of stories that are really good at that, of making a very entertaining story and then having the themes be darker, kind of be disturbing, but have a really amazing learning lesson. I feel like anime does it super well. I think that's why
I
I love,
totally agree.
right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
said that
yeah.
I had a podcast, I think it was my last podcast actually,
Okay.
in which we were talking about anime and how manga specifically at the time,
Yeah.
because, you know, the mangas can be a little bit more
Mm,
detailed, I guess. But
yeah.
yeah, we definitely spoke about how the manga have mastered sort of the darker themes with an incredible story.
Yeah. Yeah, and like they're able to have comic relief in it too, and
Hmm.
like, cuz I think that I think what it is that it is a mirror to actual life, is like, being able to have the darker themes and have the lighter moments and have an entertaining story. I think it feels like a more it feels, not to like say that other stories aren't, cuz I have like my fantasy novella that's like not deep at all. But like, I don't know, it just feels like a very full, rich life experience, cuz we're used to having really hard shit happen, we're used to having fun shit happen. So it makes sense, I think it would all be in one story.
Yeah, can all be bad, right?
Yeah.
So your comps include The Night and the Moth and Blood over Brighthaven. What do these
Mhm.
comparisons mean to you as an author?
Yeah, I think with like the Knight and the Moth, definitely like the dynamic between Rory and Six/Sybil, because it's like the woman who is like entrenched in like the high control religion, and then you've got this like rebellious knight figure, and so like that's where their fun tension comes from. So I think it's very like Elnock and Silzenia coded. And then Blood Over Brighthaven, I actually read Blood Over Brighthaven after I published my book, and I was like, oh my god, wait, our magic system is kind of really similar, which is it. Yeah, so I think the magic system and kind of some of the bigger societal consequences really mirror, I think, what is also talked about in A Blood and Stone.
Very cool. I don't know Blood Over Brighthaven. I haven't. What's the author's name for that one?
ML Wang. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah.
Okay.
The female main character is pretty cool. She reminds me of like Tony Stark, and I love that she's a woman and she just like knows what she's doing. It's pretty cool.
Very cool. Okay. So let's ask just a few fun little questions. I like to get to know a little bit about the author themselves. If you could have dinner with Silzenia or Elnock, what do you suppose you would serve for them, and what would you want to talk about in their lives?
Wow, good question. What kind of food they would want? I feel like I really just imagine we're in a tavern and kind of whatever is available in that tavern, something very medieval, like I don't know. Oh, it would be fun actually to go to a Ren fair with them and just get like a turkey leg and like go around and hang out.
It'd be more up their alley, though. I'd be like taking them for poutine.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like they would be introducing me to things. They would probably tell me all the things that are wrong. That actually isn't how that works, or that isn't how that works. But I think when we talk about, it's what I love about Bloodstone is that it ends on a happily ever after. It is a very like nightly. It's a nicely tied bow.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it'd just be about, their life post this crazy traumatic incident that they went through. But yeah, I think I can't spoil too much. I have very specific
Yeah, for
questions I would
sure.
ask, but it would spoil everything.
Yeah, exactly. So, which trope from your extensive list was the most fun to write for you? The one bedroom situation, the hurt comfort scenes, or the reluctant allies dynamic?
It's a good question. The one bedroom was really fun. That's always a fun one.
Yeah. Because we
Yeah,
play it in
and
D&D all the time, too. Or at least I did.
we haven't done that in our D&D campaign. We should. That's hilarious. Oh my god. Yeah, it's fun because it's not a one bed, but it's a one bedroom. But I like it because like they have it so there's they have a sheet that hangs in between them, and it like symbolizes like my hand just anyways. It like symbolizes the distance between Estia and the rest of the continent, like the forest. So it's like that symbolism is happening there. And it's really fun when perhaps they decide it shouldn't be there anymore. It's a very emotional moment. That was like, really fun to write. Loved that.
Cool. I love it when you get to the end of a chapter or a segment and I don't know if it happens to you, but that moment when you finish writing that and you just have to stew in it because you can't share it with anybody and it's just misery.
Yep.
You're like
Yep.
either so proud or so happy or so sad. And you get to the
Yep.
end of it and you're like, I'm alone. I can't share it with
I
anybody.
can't share this with anyone. Just me, myself, and I. True.
So if Blood and Stone were adapted into the big screen, who would you cast for your leads?
Oh my gosh. So to be so honest, I would not want it to be live action. I just don't trust CGI with like magical monsters and things like that. I would love for it to be animated. I think it'd be so fun, kind of like Vox Machina.
Mm-hmm.
And how fun would it be to like have that cast be like voicing? They're just such a great voice
They
cast.
really are.
Yeah. I'm also just really bad with like actors and actresses' names and like voice actors. I know some people are like really good at being like, oh, it'd be this person, this person. I really don't know anyone. If you show me who they've played, their face, I could tell you. But
yeah, I know that feeling. I totally agree with you. My son can name off everybody from everything, directors, like every artistic person, the writer, everybody. And I'm like, how do you have all that in your head?
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess I spend more time thinking about fantasy stuff than real stuff sometimes.
But. Same.
So if you could bring any one element from your magical world into reality safely, what would you choose?
Oh my God. Oh, jeez.
That question might actually be a spoiler or the potential for a spoiler if things change in the system that you haven't already brought up. So it's up to you if you want to answer it.
I mean, like, in theory, the, like, being able to power up and just have, like, really, like, cool physical abilities, that just sounds fun. I mean, very, like, Geralt the Witcher, just, like, that would be really cool. Be fun.
Yeah. I'm sure everybody that has ever spent any time in the gym wishes that they could power it up the next day to get over it.
Absolutely. Get rid of the soreness. Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
So this is a standalone novel, like you had mentioned. And what made you decide to tell the complete story all at once?
Yeah. Originally, it was going to be a trilogy. And that's again where like everything was really convoluted. It was my first time writing a story, and I watched a lot of the Brandon Sanderson like free classes. And he really encouraged writers, like, when you write your first book, just do a standalone. Try to make it as short as possible, was like what he kept encouraging. And I was like, I feel like there's something to that. And I am not someone, I did not take creative writing. I didn't go to some, like, I don't have a lot of education in this. So I will take the advice of like one of the best fantasy writers of this era, and I'll write it like in one. And my writing coach also encouraged me to try and just do it in one, because I was having a hard time, because you have like the full arc of a trilogy, and then each story needs to have its like beginning, middle, and end. And I was having a really hard time figuring out how to like end it with like a first and second. So I think because of that, I was like, let's try to just make it into one. And I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I thought it was going to be too much and too crazy, but it ended up being, I think it's 120,000 words, like 450 pages, which feels pretty good for this kind of like complex of a magic system and world.
Yeah, very cool. That's actually like the perfect length, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
My own thoughts anyway. So are there any other stories? You mentioned the prequel for this book. What are you tempted to add additional stories in the same world, or what's up next?
I was bullied into making this prequel because I was so done with this world. I did not want to write more in it. I'd been in it for 3 years. I was tired of it, but a number of my readers reached out and they really wanted one of the side characters' story, because there's a love story between he's a magical warrior. His name's Karis, and then Elnok's older brother, who is like the king of a different kingdom, and they're like in love. So they're like, we want to know how that happened. So I think after this one, I would like to be done, but I think my readers could bully me more if they wanted to.
Well, that's an invitation if I've ever heard it.
Yeah. My base is pretty small right now, so I feel like they won't, but who knows?
So, Blood and Stone was published on January 2025. How does it feel to finally have this 3-year labor of love in readers' hands?
It feels scary, and it feels exciting, and it feels really nice to just have it out, have it out of my hands. Because you know when you still have it, you're like, oh, I need to change this, I need to change that, and it's like you can't. It's done. You've given it, and now it's just like the marketing of it, which is like just pretty exhausting. But like knowing that the book is in people's hands and seeing that people enjoy it is like, whoa, that's so cool. What
Yeah.
an amazing feeling.
Yeah, the one of the questions I do love to ask is whether or not anybody's reached out. You've had people reach out asking for this additional character to be written into existence. But have you had anybody reach out that kind of talks about what it means, what the story means to them?
Yeah, I've had a few readers reach out who like also grew up in a high control religion, and just kind of share like just how they felt like they found a lot of solace in the story. Felt like they could really connect with Solzenia and Elnok too. Part of their characters is that Solzenia is kind of like who I was when I was in the high control religion space, and Elnok is who I was when I like left it. Just like it was like these two parts of me, and I didn't realize this till the end of the story. But then by the end, they like fall in love, and it's more than just coexisting with each other. It's like these two parts of myself that can like love each other, and that's like a part of who I am. So I had readers reach out and just kind of express like that kind of feeling, which was like mind blowing. And I feel like it just found this like very niche group of people that I was like, I hope these people find it, because like that is really who it's for. I tried to make it as broad as possible, but there's been a few who felt very moved by it.
That must have been an incredible epiphany for you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I told my therapist and she's like, I know. I was like, of course you know.
So obviously she's read the book too.
I don't think she has.
No?
She doesn't like fantasy, so I sound like such a nerd to her. I'm like D&D, and she's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Okay."
Well, let me tell you, it's what we used to have for therapy.
Right. Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about where listeners can find Of Blood and Stone and you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a Blendstone. It's on Kindle Unlimited KU. Also, it's on Amazon. But I have my shop open right now, so you can get a signed copy. That's just ajbraunauthor.com. But you can get this book anywhere. It's in all stores. Like I use Ingram Spark, so it's in Barnes and Noble. It's in also like Powell's. If you want to get it from like your indie bookstore, check and see and like request it if they don't have it. If you want it in your library, request that. But yeah, it's definitely like all major book retailers. It's there.
Nice. That's awesome. And did you
Mm-hmm.
want to show it off, or I thought it
Yeah,
had
I'd love to. I
incredible art.
loved my artist so much. Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
pretty. I know the lighting makes it a little weird, but yeah,
Yeah, it is pretty. I've
fabulous
seen it
art.
online as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Flavia's amazing. Flavia's art is just so professional. Oh my gosh, they helped me with a lot of things. So that was
Very
really cool.
cool. That's awesome. I had so much fun chatting with you, AJ. Thank you so much for sharing all of the information about the book and what it means to you. I think it sounds absolutely incredible.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was fun chatting with you too. I feel like flying by the seat of your pants, it went great. We had a fun time. I think we had a good time.
We did. It's awesome. And it's going to air very soon. So you get to
Okay.
share it with some friends.
Perfect.